right, we are live on Facebook. Hey everyone, it's Morna Haist here, joined by one of my favorite people on the planet, the beautiful Shuhada Alauddin, who is beaming in from Malaysia. Shuhada, while I share us into the Revolutionary Woman group, what time is it? What day is it? What day and time is it for you?
It's well, first of all, good morning, Morna, and everyone watching. It's Wednesday morning here. It's 9 a.m.
Oh wow. Okay, here we go. I'm just posting it into the group. And I do apologize, folks. It's so interesting. It's the third time lucky posting this and getting the timing right. I just noticed about an hour ago that it was set up for 1 o'clock in the morning. So it's not 1 o'clock in the morning. It is 6 p.m. here in the evening on the west coast of British Columbia, Canada. I'm Morna Haist, the founder of Revolutionary Woman Global, and this is a little experiment that we've been running in our community, doing these little 15-minute lives with 3 questions. And before we begin, if I put it up in the back, yeah, there we go. Before we begin, let's stick to the 3 questions, because I've been finding it really tough all week, Shuhada. I want to ask so many questions. So I'm going to be really strict, and let's kick off with question number 1.
Let's go.
So, so Shuhada is the founder of a company called youre, and this is where we're going to start, Shuhada. Can you tell us about the company you founded and why you founded it?
Right. Well, I think I need to start off with a little background, even the name itself, youre, right? That's actually an acronym for Master Yourself, Revamp Your Life. And I came up with that name basically because that is the story of my life. So prior to starting this company, I was a corporate lawyer for 10 years. I was at the time junior partner of the firm, and then I had a meltdown one day. Although at the time I didn't know it was a meltdown.
just one day.
I guess it's like that one day was like a big thing because it was a Friday. I had to start drafting some agreements because corporate lawyers, I specialize in acquisitions, takeovers, and mergers of companies. So we always have like a series of agreements to draft. So I was supposed to do it on Friday, and Monday we're going to start the negotiation. But then on Sunday, I haven't done a single thing, and I freaked out. So that was, although there's like that one time that this happened, but the effect of it on me was so huge because I was freaking out, like, oh my God, and why can't I draft? What's wrong with me? All this question. And because I've been doing it for like, so long by then. I was doing probably like at the time was 8 to 9 years. And naturally, when you do something that long, you become really good at it, right? And so I couldn't understand what was happening. Like, why couldn't I do this? I couldn't draft a single clause. So that was my meltdown. Long story short, that led to me taking off for a week. That file was being passed over to my senior partner, who was kind enough to say, oh, I think you're just a little bit burnt out, and just send them over. I'll take over, and you just go off for a week. So during that 1 week, I attended a color therapy class. Yeah, what? Color therapy? Yes.
Random.
Random, exactly. But I attended it because I was like, oh, I saw the advertisement. I said, this looks interesting. And I've never had that much time on my hands, to be honest, like 1 week off without anything. Wow. So I thought, like, I'll attend this class. I did. The person did a color personality diagnosis on me. And then he said, oh, he was sort of explaining, Shuhada, you are this colored, like white colored person and pink colored person, your characteristics like this, and the kind of jobs that you're probably going to be really happy doing. And then he said a counselor, a teacher, a coach, and then he kind of went off, and I just didn't hear him anymore because I had this like aha moment, like in the movies you hear the frame will freeze and then the angels go in the background. That was that moment for me, and that kind of like got me thinking like, oh, I've always admired people like, well, at that time, people like Tony Robbins and Robert Kiyosaki and, so on. And then later on, I discovered like Marie Forleo and all these other great speakers. And I was like, maybe that's why I've always had this like a secret dream. If only I could be like them, right? So that kind of started my journey. Again, long story short, I left legal practice after that and started MyReal because I realized there are a lot of people who are in the same boat that I was. I'm speaking about lawyers per se, but I also have come across other students of mine who are like engineers and accountants and architects who ended up leaving their profession and become like bakers. They started cafes, things like that they really enjoy. So that's why I came out with the name Master Yourself, Revamp Your Life. You got to really know who you are at the core, and then when you get to know yourself at the core, a lot of stuff goes underneath that. But that's how the name started, MyReal.
Wow, that's so cool. That's so cool. And I've already got the dozens of questions that I want to ask. I'm sticking to my 3, I promise. Tell us about, and this is especially for folks who are watching, and if you do have questions, pop them in, we'll come back to them. Describe for people who are watching, who are in this position where, they're doing whatever they're doing right now, but they've got that feeling that it is really not the thing that they want to be doing going forward. And it's actually interesting right now. I don't know if you've seen this, but there's the phenomenon, kind of a global great resignation happening right now. And I think partially because of COVID, people, feeling like they want to try something different. What was the process like for you of stepping out, forming a new company, and really forming a new identity? Tell us a little bit about that, about how that felt, maybe some of the challenges that you faced, and how did you work through them to become who you are now?
Right.
See how I asked 10 questions, but it was just one?
Very smart. Very smart. Nicely done, Morna. Well, I would say the first thing, like in terms of the process that I went through, the first thing for me was actually just sitting down and just acknowledge at the time I considered like the issue or the problem I had, right? What is it that I wasn't happy doing what I was doing, because it was a good job and I was,
Right.
it was I was in a lucrative position, and basically the things that people think when you're successful, you would have this, and I had them. Yet I still felt like kind of unfulfilled. I wouldn't say unhappy. I mean, I was pretty happy, but unfulfilled. And you kept looking, and I kept looking for like, maybe I should try this. Maybe I could do this. I even invested in one of my friends' companies because I thought maybe this is something I could go into later, but that didn't work out very well. So I think the first thing is to acknowledge that feeling and just let it come up, and it's okay. Like there's nothing wrong. Now I realize there's just nothing wrong with me. It's just like a way for I would call it inner self or intuition, whatever label people want to put upon it. It's just telling you that this is not for you, and just start asking yourself then, what is the one for me? And so at that time when I wanted to, I realized, okay, I want to do coaching. I want to do this teaching. And I asked myself, Shuhada, what are you going to teach people? Like you've been drafting contracts for like almost 10 years at the time. What are you going to teach people, right? And I figured that I'm going to start with this color personality thing, because I went through that, and that gave me that, big aha moment. And that led to me even considering, at the time I haven't left, but I was considering to leave legal practice. And then when I actually left, I thought this is what I should be teaching people. Like, how do you find, what you're passionate about? And then, so I did that. I said, okay, I'm going to get myself certified in color therapy, majoring in identifying your color personality. And then I'm going to start kind of training and teaching people that. So, but then, so I started my company. I laugh because then all these other stories start coming in. I laugh because I think the first year I started MyReal, I didn't tell people what I was actually doing.
Right.
I left legal practice, yes. But when people ask me, what do you do? The first thing I would say is I'm a lawyer. Okay, initially it was because it was a habit, because it's a reflex, right? Like, well, what do you do? I'm a lawyer because I've been doing it for so long. But even when I was conscious of that, I couldn't bring myself to say that actually I'm a color therapist. Of course, that's not how I brand myself now, but at that time I said I'm a color therapist. I couldn't bring myself to say that because there were a lot of reasons. I think the first one was I was ashamed. I was ashamed of the fact that because I was already a junior partner, and then I left that and then started something new, like from square one, from scratch. And obviously, when you start your own business, you don't have income that comes in every end of the month like how I used to. And of course, I was embarrassed because of that. I kind of like got demoted somehow. That was a feeling.
Right.
And then I had friends who were like, why would you do that? Are you crazy? Like, you're doing so well and you're like a junior partner in a firm and da 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 da. I couldn't answer back to them because now I realize like it's not that I couldn't. It's just this embarrassment, this feeling that I had was stopping me. So the first year, I didn't tell people what I was doing. So naturally, I didn't have much money or revenue coming in through the business, right? Because you don't tell people what you do, and nobody's going to come to you. So that was my biggest challenge the first year. It's like about owning it then. First acknowledging and then realizing what it is, and then owning it and be proud of it, regardless what people say. I had a lot of people that first year, even some family members, not immediate ones, like relatives who like, oh, what a waste of law degree. Like become a color therapist? That's such a waste of a law degree. I had a friend who spoke to me, hasn't spoken to me in a long time. And then he called me up and said, what are you up to now? And I said, I'm doing this. Say, oh, what do you do with your law degree then? At that time I was dumbfounded. I didn't say anything. I was like speechless. But then come and ask me right now, I'll tell you what I'll do with my law degree. Like when you start a business, there's so many legal things for you to know about, right?
Right.
So many things. And I feel that being in legal practice kind of prepped me for this journey, in a legal, like doing things legally. I know in terms of a company, what needs to be done. Even from the very beginning, how do I start a new company? Like maybe for me, it's like nothing, but I know there are some people who say, I don't know how to start a company. What do I need to do? What do I need to file? And all the stuff. So, and I immediately knew all these things because I was doing it. I was in corporate world. So yeah, that was my biggest challenge. That was my process. I would say those two things. The first thing is like acknowledging what it is, and then ask your intuition, what is it that you're really meant to be doing, that you feel fulfilled, happy, whatever it is. And then the third one is owning it. When you're already starting, or even before you start, you got to own it. And then you're putting that energy into it. That's where people are going to start feeling that.
That's so true. Everything you've just said is gold. And I think we're going to segue into the last question with that, because I really, we haven't gotten into what you're doing with My Real now. However, part of it is really helping people elevate to, you'll say it better than I'm going to say it right now, but really stepping in and owning, I guess, their highest potential, the highest possibility of what they're here to do. And I love how you describe this process because, if we're not owning it ourselves, it's obvious. We feel it. We can feel it in our own energy. We can feel it in the other person's energy. What are some tips that you have for folks who are watching, or people who are watching the replay who relate to this feeling of not quite owning what it is they really want to be doing or who they really are? Where can they start?
I would say, based on my own journey, my own experience, is it took me to like really sitting down. So this happened like after the end of first year, and money was like depleting because I was obviously going to my savings account, right? So I had to like really sit down, like, Shuhada, like, what's up? You can't keep this on any longer, otherwise your money is going to be gone, right? And then I realized, because I haven't been telling people what I do. So I would say what you need to do is just sit down and have an honest conversation with yourself.
Right.
What is the problem? So when I identify like, oh, because I wasn't telling people what I was doing, and I asked myself again, like, why are you not telling people? And then there came the answer, like, I was actually embarrassed. I feel humiliated, and I was scared. A lot of things went into it, right? And then I would like ask, why do you feel embarrassed? What are you afraid of? Okay, people ridiculing me and the blah, 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 blah. But at the end of the day, it's like about just really, peeling the onion, the layers of the onion, and just get to the root cause of, I would say, the problem. And then you finding solutions to it. Then, okay, so this is where it stems from. How do I then solve this? And if I feel embarrassed and I ask my question, is it real? Like, I mean, are you really, like, people saying I was embarrassed because people saying it's a waste of law degree. And then I asked myself, is it really a waste of law degree? Then I listed out, because I'm big on writing and journaling. So I started writing out, no, because of this, the things I was telling you about, like in business, you need to have legal knowledge. So it's not a waste. So I was writing everything out. So it's just like putting it out there and naming it and just like, okay, it's nothing actually. It's just all in my mind. So I think that process is a very powerful process. Even now, I still do that. Like every time, because we're always growing. We're always going to go into the next best version of ourselves, right? Before I do that, I always going to have like, oh, but no, I can't. And I was like, no, what's the problem? Let's just list it out, name it, whatever. And then, oh, it's nothing actually. So it's just about putting it out there.
I love what you're saying. It's like almost giving the monster less power because you're making it visible. And yeah, I really relate for myself. People who know me know that I've been in business for a long time. And it's only been in the last few years that I have aligned myself with the idea of revolutionary and revolutionary woman. And Shuhada, I totally relate. At first, I couldn't even say those words out loud. I couldn't say it out loud. And one of the things I did was just start saying it out loud, just start saying it, right? Because sometimes we just have to do it to move through whatever feelings we're having about it, right?
Yeah. And I think in my experience as well, like the first few times I was going to tell people that I'm a color therapist, you're going to, as much as I went through this process, yes, I wobbled a couple of times, but it's okay. It's just about just saying it. When you keep saying it often enough, then you start kind of like aligning yourself with that color therapist energy, like in my case. Right. And then I start saying in a way where people will start feeling the conviction from me first. And then they're like, oh, okay. So then they'll ask like, what do you do? Of course, they still ask like, color therapist, what is that? What do you do? But then I was already in a different space. I was already like, okay, I tell you what I do now. So I saw it not as a disadvantage, like it's not something for me to be embarrassed of anymore. It's like a powerful thing because it piques people's interest. Like there aren't that many color therapists around. So when the moment I dropped that, people were like, oh, what do you do? So that got me into a longer conversation with people. So that's how I start to I realized I start continue to see it that way.
I love this. I love this. And we are at time. I've asked my 3 questions. So I'm going to wrap this up by saying that, if you're really interested in I mean, Shuhada's the real deal. And I think it's so cool to speak to you now and kind of in the rearview mirror of this journey. It is possible to make a massive career change and then to go on and now you've spoken all over the world. You've got a global company. You're out there giving these messages on the world stage. And so, like, if you're watching this and you've got that twinge that you want something different and to be in your life, then follow that twinge. I think we always know first whether we listen or not. And I think when we don't listen, it gets louder and louder and louder. So as we're leaving, Shuhada, I'm going to ask a sneaky 4th question, which is, I want to ask a color question, but that's going to take us all around the houses. Actually, you said earlier that you're a white colored person with pink energy. Did you say that?
Yeah.
Tell us briefly what that means, and then I'm going to stop talking.
Okay. Quickly. Briefly. White colored person means a spiritual person. So, okay, spiritual does not mean, it has a lot of meaning to spirituality as well, right? But just briefly, a spiritual person. And pink is someone, they label it as emotional, but not emotional as in like, "Ah," like always breaking down and crying when you're like, but more like emotional. You are sensitive about your surrounding, you're sensitive to other people's energy. Like the moment somebody's angry, walks into the room, you'll be the first person who'll be able to tell, oh, this person's angry. So that is briefly in a nutshell what white and pink means. But of course, there are a lot of characteristics that go under it. But yeah.
Okay. Since it's my show, I'm just going to ask one sneaky more question. Can you tell somebody's color? I know. Can you tell somebody's energy and aura just by kind of looking at them, or do you need to do more work?
Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. It's not something that I can control,
Okay.
but there is a way, that's 99.9% where it will be accurate, which is called applied kinesiology or muscle testing. In fact,
really?
anybody watching, they want to do it, they can even try doing it themselves. So for example, if you just say, oh, am I a white colored person? And you can start doing it like this, right? And if it gets released easily, then it's not. But if it stays on, means that is your color. So I know like at some point it will get released because if you pull strong enough, but if it's weak, like immediately gets released, then that is not your color.
Because we already know, right? Our intuition already knows.
Exactly. Yeah. You're actually asking yourself. So even when I do my sessions, I'm just the facilitator. I do not tell you like, okay, you're white or pink or so on, but I will go through this process with you, and then you will see that the answer actually comes from you. And I'm just kind of helping you out to get the technique right and things like that, which is why I like to avoid seeing someone, even if I do see their aura, I would stop myself from saying anything because I do not want that to kind of influence their judgment when they're doing the muscle testing.
Okay, I won't ask me about my aura then. It's blurry. I have a fuzzy aura. I'm kidding. That was my joke. That was 5 Questions Live with Shuhada Alauddin. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure, and we're going to stop being live. Afterwards, Shuhada's going to pop a link to her website on this video. If you want to find out more about what she's up to and follow her on social media, especially your Instagram channel, which is a really cool place to be. Okay, bye everyone, and I'll see you tomorrow for the next 5 to 10. No, I'm kidding. Bye everyone.